Hey everybody, welcome back to Active Self-Protection Extra. It's Neil on another Mantis Monday. Going to continue walking through some of the drills for the Mantis X10. Come along with me and we're going to have some fun.
Today's video is brought to us by Mantis. The Mantis family of products is integral to ASP staff building handgun and carbine skills and are your most economical and fastest path to improvement in your skills too. Whether you choose the X10, the Laser Academy, the Blackbeard, or use them all in concert, they will help your practice be more effective, efficient, and fun. Go check them out, pick up a unit, and thank them for sponsoring today's video.
All right, so you've seen that I've done some of the benchmark stuff and kind of walked you through that. We're going to dig deeper into what some of the analytics means in a later video, but I want to get through some of these other drills first so that people can go out and start shooting these drills and understand how to do them. Really, the score is what you're looking for. If you're brand new to this thing, don't worry about all the extra little squiggly lines and all that stuff just yet. That's for later, for refinement anyway. You're looking for scores in the above 90 is really where you want to be. If you're in the 80s for some of these, you're in pretty good shape. Some of these, if you're in the 70s, you're in pretty good shape. So, but ideally you want to be above 90 for everything. This week, I'm going to show you the drill that I like the most. It's probably one that's been the longest since I've run it. So I think I got the most out of this back when I really ran this a lot. Just haven't done it in forever, so I'm curious how I'm going to do today. But let me grab my tablet here. We're going to do the compressed surprise break. The way the compressed surprise break works is you set the gun up so where you're ready, finger on the trigger, sights on your target, and then you're going to get a beep. And you're going to pull the trigger as fast as you can while maintaining that good sight picture. The secret is the grip. So it's typically going to be your offhand is really what you're going to be able to maintain that score with, is a good solid grip with your other hand. Focusing on the pinky a lot is probably going to help you a lot more than just about anything to maintain that score in the 80s and 90s. Really, you want to be in the 90s. I think if you're in the 80s on a compressed surprise break, you're doing pretty well, and you're at a good spot. It could be that you're rusty. It could be that you're new to this thing. But ideally we want a goal in the 90s, but I'll accept the 80s and I'll be happy with it because I'm just here to get better, right? I do then have a play that on this that I do that kind of is a play on Gabe White's 3 triggers. I'll introduce you to that after I shoot it the first time. The way that this is run now when it first came out, it was 5 shots and then this drill was over. This one goes until you hit stop. So if you want to do 5, 6, 8, 10, 50 rounds or 50 trigger presses dry, this way you can. You can actually do this live as well if you want, but we're doing it dry. So I'm going to do 6 or 8 shots, show you my scores, and then I'll show you the play on Gabe's 3 triggers drill and see how I do. Now I've got my Mantis connected on the mag here. It just makes it easier so I can do all the trigger or the drawing stuff, and that'll be in another video. Got my barrel block in there, reset my trigger, make sure my sights are where I want them. 2-inch circles, I think I showed you those last week, so when I hit start,
94.
There we go.
93. 94. 90. 95. 91.
Ooh. All right, so I'm going to stop it there. It caught me cheating on that last one, so you can see I've got a 93.4 average and a .16 reaction time, which is fixed a little bit. On that last one was a .8 reaction. I was into that trigger press and anticipated a whole lot. Just the timing worked out for me there. I was 0.08 away from that one not counting. If you pull the trigger before the beep, it's just going to reset and it'll go again. So you don't have to then reset and pull the trigger really quickly because that'll jack up your time as well. So just understand that. But you know what, I'm pretty happy with a .16. Probably would have been a .1718 average had I not had that one where I cheated and it caught me. And I got away with it. So you know what? You know, in Brian Hill's class, he talked about anticipating the beep and and trying to go. That's what I did. And so you can call it cheating or you can call it anticipating. Either way, we're dry firing and we found out. So now I'm going to show you the play on it with Gabe White's 3 triggers. And so to start, I've got a safe direction over here as well. But with the main one, I think you can see this. I put my finger on the trigger right here, and then I'm to the wall, and then at the beep, I break that trigger right there. Pretty simple and pretty quick, and which is why I can get a pretty quick press. And you see the .16 in the above 90 score. The second one is on Gabe's 3 triggers, is now my finger is off the trigger completely. So I'm up here, I'm letting my fingernail really touch the trigger guard of the gun, and then at the beep, then I'm going to pull the trigger. So I've got a little bit more for my trigger to move, or my finger to move, and you can see if I exaggerate a little bit, the muzzle's going to rise a little. So that's where the left hand really, or the support hand if you're a lefty, comes in. All you lefties are weird, I get it, but you can still be good shooters. So you really got to focus in, and I say focus in on that pinky a lot. Make sure you've got all the grip that you want, and then, but at the beep, just pull the trigger like so. And so let's see what that looks like. I'll run 6 or 7 shots like that. Okay.
55.
Woohoo! You see it dropped?
65.
Oh man, I can see the dot moving too.
69.
Oh, come on, Neil, get in the game.
91.
Went slow there.
91.
There.
79.
We'll get one more.
92.
Okay. So let me stop that. Now my averages, my scores went way down, my speed went way down. Now I averaged a 79 because I had a couple of horrific scores there in the 50s. You can see on the side here, my times were 74 in there, a 37 and a 43. So everything's going to slow down because you've got a whole lot more movement going on there. Now, if I'm reading my dot, I know I'm getting my hits. My hits aren't as good over here on my target as they could be. Again, I'm pretty rusty. I haven't run this one in forever, but that is the second play on that. Now the third play, for some reason it works for some folks and others it does not. For me, it's about 50-50. But if I do the third trigger of Gabe's, is now I start with my finger out and in register, and at the beep, then I move it down and pull the trigger. And sometimes, for some reason, I don't understand why, but I think it's more to do with where I've got the Mantis mounted. Sometimes it doesn't pick those up. So we're going to try that and see what happens. So I'm pressing out here when I get the beep. I'm going to come down and do that. Now, I should be able to probably get my scores a much better than I did there. You see that, you know, I got 2 above the 90s before. Probably want to be mostly in the 80s and the 90s for this. So let's give this a reset. Here we go.
87.
Oh, there we go.
85. 57.
Ooh, saw that whole thing move.
86. 77.
Come on, Neil.
90.
There we go. So if I slow down, I can get the 90s. If I'm going really, really fast.
90.
There, so you can see me come off of that. Now, one of the things I've got this weird thing in my knuckle that my finger does one of these things, and so here, let me stop that. I'm sorry. So as I go into register, my finger kind of does one of those, and that causes some stuff. It's something that Brian Hill has worked with me a little bit on, and I've got to continue work. But I really got to work on trying to get my finger like this, so then I can just bring it down onto the trigger. And that's what I did at the end when I kind of finally focused and got my better scores. Let me grab this and see what I got here. So averaged an 82 with a .6 to the break, which you would expect to be slower because you've got more to move. Let's see here, the fastest one was a 44, and that scored a 70, and I do remember that one. I saw the thing go completely out. Let me see if I can catch that 77. So this is, I told you to ignore the squiggles for now, but here's the 77. So if I hit play, that was me. The blue is me getting on target, the red is the break, and the yellow is the follow through. So if you watch that, or I'm sorry, the yellow is the break, the red is the follow through. I got those backwards. It's been a while since Neil's done that too. So if you see that, that's what the muzzle was doing as it went down, and I probably ended up in the 9 ring on that one, but I felt it move and I saw the whole thing with my dot. So leads us into, if you do not have the Mantis and you want to do a compressed surprise break or Gabe White's 3 triggers, this is what you're looking for, is what we're seeing here on the screen. You're looking for where is your sight or your dot, your front sight or your dot, before you pull the trigger. And then where does it move as you pull the trigger, and where does it go after you pull the trigger? So we're talking about a third of a second before and after the trigger press, so you can really kind of see where that is. If you see yourself went into the 9 ring there, probably scored in the 70s. If you're staying in that 10 ring, let's see here, I had a, let's see here, my last shot was a 90. It was a pretty slow one. I didn't go any too fast, but I'll hit play on that. You can see that my follow through wasn't all that great, but I stayed in that 10 ring the entire time. Pulled the trigger right in the X. So life is pretty good there. I probably got a much better hit and I got a much better score, but I did it a little bit slower. So again, if you don't have the Mantis system, you can still do a compressed surprise break. You can still do Gabe White's 3 triggers and all of that kind of stuff. And again, this drill is the one that I feel like helped me become a better shooter more than any other drills out there. Doing this dry really helped me focus on seeing that sight, seeing what happens with my other, with all of my grip and everything else going on. And something that I have found that is interesting, if I grip too hard with my support hand, that gets this little knuckle thing to do. And I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it kind of pops as it goes. And that's just an old injury from my younger, stupider days and the dumb stuff that I did way back when. But that's just something that I live with as that goes. So if I relax my strong hand just a little bit, I can relax this finger, I can move it faster without moving the rest of my hand near as much. So it really focuses, that's why I really have to focus on the support hand, getting all my grip there and my aiming there. So all I really have to do is come down and move that trigger. And you can see as I do that, now I'm exaggerating a little bit to do that, but if I'm coming from high and end register and I really grip my gun like that, it's going to move it a whole lot more. Play with it a little bit on your own, whether you've got the Mantis or not. Play with it, grip it as hard as you can with this hand, and then pull the trigger, see what your score does, and then relax that hand just a little bit. Pull that trigger and watch what happens to your sights and your scores. They're going to go up. You're going to have some fun with it. Really appreciate you guys coming along with me for the, the Mantis walkthrough. I know this isn't the sexy thing of going down to the range and shooting targets at 25 yards or sub-second draws or any of that kind of stuff. But if you want to be able to get that kind of performance on the range, this is the kind of work that we've got to do. Dry fire is where everybody will tell you, everybody that knows what they're talking about, in my opinion. I get it. There's some folks out there that just absolutely don't believe in dry fire. None of those are competitive shooters, and none of them are all that great shooters to begin with. So, take it for what it's worth here. I feel like I've got a qualified opinion into this. I've done a lot of dry fire. I feel like I'm a pretty decent shooter. I can always be better, as we all can. We can all suck less. We just have to put the work in, and clearly I don't do the work that I probably should. But these are the kind of things that are going to make you better. Have some fun with it. Come join us in the Ask Dry Fire Challenge group on Facebook. We do contests, we do giveaways, we do challenges, we ask questions. We've got great shooters in there to give us answers. It's a great time and everybody's welcome there. You got to answer the question to get in, and if you don't know, the sponsor of it is Mantis, the people that we're going through this stuff right now, so they help pay the bills. Answer the question, come in, have a good time, be kind to each other. Everybody else will be kind to you, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. I'll see you next week. Thanks.